Hello YouTube, I finally got my headset back in action, so I'm going to come back at you with another tank review. Today we're going to be doing the MBT 70. This is going to be a review in terms of the PvE performance of the MBT 70. Second of all, I'm going to follow the standard format of doing a garage review talking about its stats on paper and theory of the MBT 70, and then I'm going to show you some battles in which I showcase the MBT's strengths. Let's begin. So looking at the dealer tree, the MBT 70 is a tier 6 main battle tank in the Wolfi tree. Those of you who have purchased Lord of War might have noticed you had this tank already. So the MBT 70 can be used to unlock these blocks in the Wolfi tree. And it may be better to use the MBT 70, which sits at tier 6 and it's a main battle tank, compared to the various blocks. For example, using the Patent 48 or the Lav 150 to unlock these 6 new blocks. You could do that with the MBT 70 and it might be quicker because the MBT 70 does more things in general because it's a higher tier compared to the Patent 48 and the Lav 150. The MBT 70 does also make fairly decent money. In PvE, I find the MBT 70 makes better money than the other tanks in my hands, generally because I don't have to use a maintenance kit, a PvE maintenance kit, and that saves me 12,000 credits per battle, which does make a difference over the long run. So next, let's get started talking about the tank itself. Looking at its armor values, we've got 252mm on the front. With that 1.5 multiplier, we have 378mm against high explosive and armor piercing shots, and we've got 630mm against shaped charges, so we're talking about heat and heat FS right there. So that alone is a good line of sight thickness, but that generally means you can't be penetrated by heat from the front unless they target a weak spot. Kinetic sabot penetrators, yeah, it might possibly still happen. Some tier 6s and a lot of tier 7s, their sabots will be able to penetrate you from the front, at least as far as thickness goes. Now let's look at the armor profiling itself. The MBT 70's front, the upper glacis is nicely sloped back at probably about 60 to 70 degrees. The lower glacis is a little less sloped, I'd say maybe 45, 50, maybe 55 degrees. Now, as far as frontal weak spots are concerned, the lower glacis is divided into 2 armor sections. The top section is stronger than the bottom section. So sometimes in PvE, if I'm going up against an enemy MBT 70 and one of these is wiggling around, I tend to try and aim for the strip towards the bottom of the lower glacis, if I'm in a tank with enough gun depression or if I'm far enough away from them. As far as the turret's protection is concerned, the turret is almost as well protected, with 250mm on the front, and it actually has 175mm on the sides. The turret is protected a little less so than the hull, but when you look at the sloping, the turret appears to be sloped less than the front of the hull. So as far as weak spots on the turret ring is not a weak spot. The searchlight is not a weak spot. These boxes over here on the right side, they're not a weak spot. And this periscope on top is not a weak spot. You don't really have any good shots on the commander's hatches. If you can get one, you could probably shoot in, but I believe they are for half damage. The gunner's sight, however, is a full damage weak spot, so if you're aiming at an MBT 70, try and get a shot in at the gunner's periscope, especially if you don't have a shot on the lower glacis strip. And those are the only 2 real weak spots of the MBT 70 from the front. Like I said, periscope's not a weak spot, box is not a weak spot, turret ring's not a weak spot, searchlight's not a weak spot. Now if you're in a really high tier tank and you're shooting sabots, then it's probably possible, especially if you're at an angle slightly above the MBT 70, to penetrate the turret outside of the gun mantlet using sabots. It could be possible. On a line of sight though, since that turret is angled at 45 to 50 degrees, it still might not happen with sabots. And you're definitely not getting through it with heat ammunition either. Overall, from the front, the MBT 70 is fairly well protected for its tier, but watch out for higher tier enemies. Now, as I mentioned before, the side armor is only 75 millimeters thick, so you can't angle it very much at all. I wouldn't be comfortable angling it more than this anymore, and the AI will target you. Now, side of the turret is 175. It's a little thicker. You can afford to turn it some, but not too much. 45 degrees is about as far as you should go, and then the AI are going to start penetrating your turret and aiming for your turret. And that covers the armor profile on the MBT 70. Next, let's go look at the gun. Now, the gun is a mixed bag. It hits like a freight train, which is a good thing, but long reload keeps the damage per minute down. It also has mediocre accuracy, 0.17, and it also has a very poor targeting time of 3.8 seconds. So combined between these factors, that makes this gun really, really unforgiving. When the gun is unforgiving, I mean if you take a shot and you haven't aimed in properly, or even if you've aimed in and it just gives you a bullcrap random number accuracy aim, then you've missed out on 600 damage if you're shooting a heat shot, or 480 if you're shooting sables. You've missed out on a pretty good chunk of damage, and you're going to have to wait 12.7 seconds before you can fire again. And that's assuming that you even hit your next shot too. So you got to be careful when you're shooting shells in the MBT 70, otherwise you're going to miss out on a lot of damage. For that reason, I sometimes tend to use the missiles as my first shot, because the missiles have very high penetration. So if I happen to shoot at an area with a lot of armor, then it's more likely to go through, and it'll also go exactly where I want it to go. You may notice me in the battles, I use the missiles to target the commander's hatches on the Terminators and the Ramkas. Because if I'm shooting a heat shell, there's a chance that it won't go where I want it to, or it won't aim in time, and it's not going to hit the commander's hatch. And this tank really doesn't have the accuracy to hit the commander's hatch that reliably on tanks like that. Weak spot aiming can be a problem, given the aiming time and the accuracy. However, the gun's got good penetration. If we look at the ammunition, the Sabos, they have about 381 millimeters of penetration, and that does rival the other tier 6s. The Heat also has pretty good penetration at 335 millimeters. A lot of the main battle tanks and other tanks at this same tier 6, they have penetration that's definitely below 300 with their heat ammunition. So having heat ammunition with this good penetration is definitely a good thing. The missiles, they don't take that long to reload. As we can see, it only takes them about 13.33 seconds, 13 and a third seconds. And that's less than a second longer than it takes the shells. This is one of the good reasons why it might be a good idea to use ATGMs in addition to that accuracy and extra penetration, because they don't take that much longer to reload, but they're more reliable compared to the Heat. They have slightly lower damage per minute, but that could probably be fixed if you use the tank commander Rashid al-Tassi, because Rashid al-Tassi can have a perk that reduces the ATGM reload time. So let's do the math. 13 and a third, subtract 1 and a third seconds, you would reload in about 12 seconds, which would be faster than the 12.7 of the main gun. So if you put in Rashid al-Tassi, theoretically anyway, you could reload faster with the missile than you would with your shells. So that's something to keep in mind too with the MBT 70. As far as gun depression and elevation, the angles are definitely good. You're not going to really have a problem with gun depression, at least in the front and the sides of the tank. Moving on to mobility. Mobility is one of the really good things about the MBT 70 that sets it apart from the competition, because the MBT 70 has fairly decent acceleration. As you can see, it's 0 to 32 is only about 6.7 seconds, and the max speed is about 70 kilometers an hour. Yes, it can reach, well, no, I wouldn't say that it really reaches its max speed on a flat terrain. Going downhill it certainly can, but going on a flat terrain, I've noticed it stops accelerating at about 55 to 60 kilometers an hour, but that's still a generous top speed for a main battle tank. And one thing that it doesn't say here, which is the true strength of the MBT 70, is the hull traverse. The hull traverse is very, very good. I don't have a number for it, but I can tell you that the hull traverse is better than at least the VFM 5, and it may be better than the expeditionary tank. But it's hard to measure that with numbers. And that's the strength of the MBT 70, because in a PvE match, if an AI spawns or suddenly appears, you don't need to pop a smoke or anything. You can just turn it around really quickly and get your armor to defend you. And the armor is good enough to fend off most AI. Now, what would I put on this tank? As far as retrofits would go, first things first, in the first universal retrofit slot, I would put in internal hull reinforcement. Not even a question, because having more health in PvE is always worth it. It gives you more time in the battle. You'll be a stronger opponent as a result. Now, in the other universal retrofit slot, I would put a firepower, or maybe the intercom systems. But the intercom systems will not do as much as you think they will, because in the crew there is no loader. The loader is completely automated here. A crew intercom system can still help with things like accuracy and aiming, maybe make your mobility even better, but it won't help your reload speed, and that's one of the things that's holding me back from getting an intercom system in the Universal. Instead, I would opt to use both my Firepower and my Universal for Firepower retrofits. You could use almost any of these retrofits, except for Advanced MRS. Penetration is not really an issue in the Advanced MRS. It doesn't do that much anyway, so I wouldn't waste my time with the Advanced MRS on the MBT 70. Enhanced Shell Materials isn't that enticing an option to me. It helps decrease your reticle bloom, and it improves your reload, so if you think it'll help you, go ahead. But my big recommendations are Advanced Thermal Sleeve to help your reload, because it does the most for your reload rather, and Experimental Propellant because it increases your damage. Those two will directly help your damage per minute, which I feel is probably the one biggest thing about the MBT 70 and will help justify its gun handling. So now as for the crew, what I've done is I increased the ramming damage because ramming is awesome, and also the MBT 70's combination of its weight as well as its frontal armor and its high maneuverability makes the MBT 70 a great rammer. So once they finally get that ramming damage properly set out, the MBT 70 will make a great rammer. So I did put battering ram on the driver. As for smooth ride, it'll help decrease reticle bloom, so I've done that for the driver. Now for the gunner, I've given him quick draw. That'll help him aim faster. 3.8 seconds, that's pretty long, so now with the quick draw it's closer to about 3.4 seconds. Still not that great, but better than 3.8. I'll take it rather than leave it. And sure start, maximum accuracy reduced by 20%. This helps reduce reticle bloom as well, because the reticle can't expand to be quite as big. So those are the perks I've chosen for the driver and the gunner. Now for the commander, I really recommend Ioannis Sana, because Ioannis Sana has a lot of perks that increases in module damage. You can light fires, stuff like that. So Ioannis Sana would probably be a great choice for this tank to help bolster the damage even more. But I don't have Ioannis Sana unlocked at the moment, so really my guy of choice right now is Viktor Kirsanov, because he does have some perks. Module damage, you aim faster, which is good. Leadership, which helps your crew attributes, which is good. Bouncing a shot, that would help your reload, which will be good because it'll increase your DPM at least for those 15 seconds. So I find Kirsanov to be a good second choice, but Ioannis Sana would make my first choice as a tank commander in the MBT 70. Generally speaking, the MBT 70 falls short as far as gunplay. It hits like a freight train, but the long reload really mitigates that. And it also has worse gun handling than any other tier 6 main battle tank. Period. Now that we're done talking about the MBT 70 in the garage, let's go look at some gameplay footage. That BMP2 is spazzing out.
I know.
It's got to be a server issue. That's probably why our outlines are gone. I'm pretty sure I had a clear line of sight to him. No, I've got a functioning outline on the BMD4.
If I illuminate them, they lose their outline.
That's interesting.
Weird. Targeting the Ramka.
Ramka eliminated.
Don't waste any shots on this guy. I've got him.
The BMD2, copy that. Shot out on the warrior.
Artie.
Let me get that fucking Artie. I can't touch him.
Why he's targeting you?
Not targeting me.
Aiming
No,
his gun towards you.
Okay, I see a Leopard 2AV. I'm aiming at the 2AV, the enemy one.
25. Last round at him. He's down.
They usually push towards the cab zone instead of you. That's weird. They don't do this much. Okay.
Mobilized again.
Waiting for VFM to expose himself. Shot out.
At the Sheridan. Sheridan again. And again. Alright. I'm gonna go try and take care of this.
Shot out on the Stingray.
Can't see the 2
I
AV.
can't see him. He's on the cap, but I can't see him.
Well,
see
move
the
up
two
and
AV.
shoot him then.
I can get these guys on the cap. Hold on, I'm reloading. Oh,
I'm gonna
this
shoot
will
up
be
the
fun.
VFM.
I got both of them.
That you do.
Maybe.
I killed them. I
I
busted some
spotted
ass.
by something. I don't know what.
Is your spotted indicator still up?
No, it's gone.
Yeah, it was a residual spot from the Stingray. Okay, I'm gonna move up now and stick my nose into the hornet's nest.
Oh, who got this truck?
I'll send a team to salvage the hardware and see if we can
I was
like,
did you
find
get
out
the
more
trucks?
about the NGA.
Yeah.
Boss spotted. I think I'll be able to actually take care of it, maybe. Shit. I hate it when it does that.
Well, I can't help you once they get up in that road.
Nah, I'm good. It's just my missile shot trashed because I switched instantly from the missile to the gun, but it changed the point of impact for the missile.
Oh yeah, of course. I know. I've seen that happen.
And that guy file zone gonna get behind him.
Don't be too close to that boss.
There, he's got support. Gonna get shot by the BMP.
No, I didn't get shot, but
I'm targeting the BMP3.
Shit. Give me no pen. Come on. Give me your ass. Give me your ass. Alright. You're gonna take on that? Nah. Okay.
BMP3 is still alive. He's one shot him. Well, 2 shots. But he's deader than fuck. Now, here's the problem. I've got 3 illumination rounds left.
I'm not going on the cap. Fuck that.
I'll do that.
Yeah, nah, I'm not doing that either.
Don't go nowhere near that cow.
I can take it.
No, that's not the problem. If you stay away from the cap, they'd have a tendency to not go on it. And we actually sit here and just win. But if you,
Most of us have... Me and Dark have plenty of health left, and I've only
I
taken
just
damage
used
from
my
AHE weapons
I just used
before.
my repair kit, that's why.
well, you go right ahead. I mean, you do whatever you feel comfortable with. You know, I got no issues. I'll go ahead and push the 9 button here in a few minutes. I've got
Press
7
the
rounds
9
left.
button. That's why I got so much hate.
Identify target. They're immobilized.
I got an M1A1.
Copy that. I'm gonna put a shot into the BMD4 and then switch to Sables and turn to him.
Hit him in the side with the missile.
Okay, eliminate the BMD4 and I'll get an easy shot on that Abrams. Except he's got company somewhere out there.
Missile out on the
I
Abrams.
just want to say,
And only hit the Abrams fuel tanks.
Okay, I'm gonna try and put another shot into that Abrams and then I need to turn to engage the Expeditionary. In fact, I'm gonna turn
I
and
think I
engage the
killed
Expeditionary
Abrams
now.
right
Okay.
away.
Identified. Hostile PC. Identify target. Hostile PC.
Okay, I'll let you guys finish off the Expeditionary. I'm gonna look for the Weasel one with 924 hit points.
Oh, the weasel's targeted.
Shot out.
Identified. Hostile PC.
I love it when a plan comes together. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and push eastward along the road and sweep the area. Shut out on the
Well,
Beagle.
they're pushing again, so
Copy that. Here they come. I'll back behind the rock then. Next target is going to be the Bradley.
I'm targeting the VFM
Loading,
and the
shot out.
Terminator.
Okay,
Terminator.
I'm gonna see if I can't get a shot in on the Terminator's hatch.
Terminator.
2.
Terminator.
Okay, I'll shoot the VFM then.
Reloading. Reloading.
Okay, I'm gonna send my last shot at the Weasel over there.
Target destroyed.
Okay, Weasel eliminated.
Targeting the VFM and the Terminator.
Alright, I'm gonna sweep the B line if someone can sweep the C line. But I'm pretty sure that's all of them.
So in this battle, I wasn't platooning with anyone, and I recorded it while my headset was in for repairs. So since there's no voiceover or anything in it, I'm going to go ahead and do some post-battle commentary going over the footage I captured. So tried to get an early shot in on the Warrior using my missile, but I wasn't in position for that. The Expeditionary Tank and the Veeble were able to take that kill before I could get a shot on them. So I keep moving forward. I'm taking a left-leaning path. This is because sometimes there tends to be an enemy hiding in that back corner, sometimes an arty. So I'm going to park here, wait for spots. As you can see, something's already got me spotted. I'm waiting for the Expeditionary Tank or someone like that to light a target, but nothing happens, and a VFM got a lucky penetration on me somehow. And before we can go chase him, the first spawn comes in.
Target down.
Starship dies pretty quickly. Watching for targets on the railroad tracks while I'm reloading. That BMP-3's gone. Not going to be a target. Spotted again. But this time it was probably not the VFM-5. Usually there's a BMP or a BMD that likes to spawn over at B4. So I'm just going to hold my position, see if anyone else on my team wants to move, maybe not. So I relent and start moving forward. Now since the guys on the tracks have probably retreated past the 6th line by now, I decide not to take cover behind the rock, but instead to proceed. I am spotted. I'm thinking it's the guys on the tracks. I keep moving, but as you can see, it was an OF-40 who was hiding over there. He got an aimbot shot off on me and retreated. And so you can see there's a BMP-3 slinging HE frag down the railroad tracks, but I'm not going to chase him. I'm going to go after the OF-40. All of a sudden the BMP-3 shows up.
No panic.
Trying to aim below the ERA panels on this BMP-3, but I decide that the upper glacis is a better shot. The upper glacis is not protected by ERA, and even though it's sloped back really, really well, it still is a pretty large target if you're shooting heat. All the enemies over here are dead, so I switch back over to missiles and drive down to the secondary objective in Hotel 5. And then the M2 Bradley spawns, but I don't want to use a missile on him. He's got an APS system, so instead I shoot the missile at the retreating Stingray. As soon as I make the hit, I turn around and engage the Bradley. I'm loading a heat shell, so I have to be careful about where I aim, but there are parts of him that are not protected, such as the turret ring. I land a good shot in the turret ring. I got lucky on that roll there. I was not aimed in properly, but the shell managed to hit the turret ring anyway. So now I'm moving in, and another Bradley appears. I don't quite aim so well here. The heat shell impacts the ERA in the front. Between the T-72A and the T-72 Ural, I don't have the chance to get a shot off again, and that's one of the prime examples that I mean when I say that the gun on this is unforgiving. I missed out on a lot of damage, and the Bradley was dead by the time I was reloaded.
Let's see if they have any close. Identify target.
So having taken care of the objective, I start to head back towards the center. Try to get a shot off on the Beaglite Panzer, but the roll was not with me, so the shell went right into the fuel tank. Missed out on that chance. This time I stop, aim in, get a solid hit on the VFM.
We lost track.
The Beaglite Panzer tries to open fire, but our armor is too much for him, so he gets destroyed by the Weeble. He did track us, which seems to be a bit of a vulnerability on main battle tanks, but it's not a big one. So I try and get a shot off on the Terminator.
Target hit.
That one did work out in my favor, but he's disappeared, so I move forward. And then he reappears, but there are all those exploding fuel tanks. I don't want to mess with them because they have weird hitboxes. And it's the same thing with this
Hunt it till the capture zone.
Stingray. Look for a shot, but as you can see, the shot goes into the explosive fuel tank instead of the Stingray, so now I have to wait on the reload. This Stingray, the Stingray 2, appears to be content sitting at the end of the runway, but the Terminator's annoying me, so I decide to put a shot. RNGesus puts it dead center, hits him in the commander's hatch, and he's done.
Identify. Hostile tank. It's fit. Moving out.
I'm thinking about engaging the Stingray 2, but I have a good shot on the back of the Bradley. He's putting one of our tanks in danger, so I'm decided to put a shot in the back of the Bradley, unprotected. Now that I'm reloading, I put my final shot into the Stingray. He's destroyed. I'm basically staying in this area and engaging targets that I see. I'm not moving too much to try and keep my aim circle down and to give me time to aim before every shot. So here's a BMP-3. Looks like I get a shot into the upper glacis. Good penetration, solid roll there.
Identify. Hostile
While I'm reloading, I'm trying to keep the BMP-3 acquired. I want to try and kill him so that he can't do any more damage with his HE frag, but he's becoming harder to target due to the cars, and I decide to put my shot into the Stingray. A Leopard 2A5 has entered. I kind of want to shoot at him, but it might not be a good idea because he's got good modifiers. The BMP-3, I've got a good shot. If you shoot below the ERA, there's a bit of the body that's exposed through the tracks. Managed to hit him there, and the T-72 takes the kill while I'm reloading, and I think I can get a penetration through the Leopard 2A5, and I get a good roll accompanied by an engine fire. Always nice to have. Those things are very hard to penetrate, especially with shaped charge ammunition, so that was a bit of a lucky roll there. And I try and put another shot in, but I don't aim it up fully. We get a bad roll. It goes in beneath the turret and above the body, so it turns out to be a miss. Now this, I believe it's the T-72A. He's calling attention to this MBT-70 coming in from the left. I obliged by putting a shot into him. I'm not loaded yet. He just put out a shot into the T-72 behind me. No one else is shooting him, so I take the kill. And the T-72 puts a shot into that Leopard 2A5.
Identify target. Hostile tank.
Looking for the Stingray. I don't want to bounce off of his upper front plate, but it looks like the team's taking care of him. So I save my shot
We have the hydro pump
and
under
start
our
moving
control.
forward. And I start looking for a shot against the VFM. I take it and score a hit. Now I take advantage of my reload to aim in on this conveniently placed Bradley, but the T-72 gets the shot in before I reload. That is more or less the ending of this battle. Sometimes mini-bosses like to spawn over in this sector, but they never did in this battle. So in this battle worked much the same way in that I didn't have any voiceovers, I wasn't doing any TeamSpeak communications or anything like that, so I'll put in some more post-battle commentary.
Everyone out of there. Enemy spotted in the west.
So, since the other MBT-70 is moving directly towards the cap,
New orders, Black Company.
I wanted to go off onto the side where the expeditionary tank's at, because I like that. It'll give me good flanking shots, but instead I decided to move up onto the corner by the cap and block their advance. I put my first missile into the expeditionary tank and decided there won't be any targets. It's a good thing that I did, because this Ramka 99 has appeared, and the missiles are good for hitting the weak spot. So with some careful aim, I managed to hit the turret, the commander's hatch, and I reload my heat round. It's not being very conducive to that. I hold my fire, and my allies shoot him from Charlie 3. So instead, I look for the Bradley. I managed to shoot him in the part of the turret with no ERA protection. And this BMP-3's coming. We shall see if the teammates leave him alive for very long. They did give me the chance to reload. It doesn't seem like the MBT-70 is paying him much attention. The Stingray appears to have just fired a shot at him. Correction, the VFM just shot at him with a heat shell, but the ERA probably resisted it. I've got another round in the chamber. I put a shot in beneath the ERA panels, and the BMP-3 is history. But there's a T-80, no, a T-90, but he's getting out of my reach. I put my heat round into the BMP-3 and focus on the T-90 with the Sable, and as you can see, the T-90 managed to penetrate the MBT-70 with little or no effort. Since I have a Sabo loaded, I don't need to worry about the BMP-3's ERA, so I just fire and forget. I switch back to missiles though, because this engagement has ended, and I'm moving towards the other checkpoint. So I'm looking for good missile shots on these enemies, and I think I have one on this 2AV. If he keeps his turret pointed like this, and he does, I get a good hit on the ammo rack. I load up another missile for this Leopard 2A5, who appears to be running towards the capture zone. He's hiding behind the control tower now. And, of course, he has a friend. And off to the east, we spot the twins. I'm tempted to put a missile shot into them as early as I can, but they're pretty well protected against missiles. This 2A5 has exposed a part of his back, giving me a good missile shot. I switch over to Sabos and pull back. And then I receive a little present. So now I'm shifting to try and get flanking shots into the Lee twins. This M60A3 behind me is following suit. The other MBT-70, the VFM, and the expeditionary tank are all holding the bot's attention. I put another shot into Annalisa, but the roll is not in my favor, so it bounces off of some part of the tank. It looks like that M60A3 has gotten Annalisa's attention. I'm looking for the weak spot on the M1 Abrams, but I don't find it. And I am shot by a BMP-3M from behind. So I reposition to try and cover my back using the fuel tank. Now Mary Lou is looking for the M60A3. Once again, the gun fails to put my round on target. So I decide to move in closer to try and get in a better shot. She's rotating, so I keep my speed up. I take a risk with a rolling shot. It does land home. But by now, the expeditionary tank and my other allies are putting shots into her, and she does not live for long. Something just hit the MBT-70 for 348 damage. I doubt it was that Panzerhaubitz. It was probably an HE frag spammer, but he goes to look for them now. You may have noticed the shot from that BMP-3M on the upper right hand of the screen a moment ago. The other one, not the one that I'm looking at now. But I leave him to my teammates and instead fire off a missile, and we shall see if my round makes it. It does indeed.
One more to go.
I move up to see if I can get any more damage off of this BMP-3M.
Looks like they're turning their attention
Do I take the
elsewhere.
shot? No, I decide not to
Don't
take
head
the
for
shot,
dog snake.
because the BMP-3M is quickly destroyed. The second defense point has just ended.
We're loading up the tanker now.
I know
Keep
that
them
they like to
occupied.
spawn at Charlie 5, Bravo
Enemy
5,
tank spotted
so I
to the
move into
east.
the area.
Identify target.
And indeed,
Hostile
there's that
tank.
Beagle Panzer.
They're mobilized.
I mobilize him and switch over to heat rounds.
Identified. Hostile
I
tank.
just poke up over the top, reload, and fire.
Destroyed.
That Pac 90 is escaping, but the M60A3 doesn't let him get very far. Now that Challenger 1 has just appeared behind us, but it's mostly obscured by the ridge. I take the hard shot and I manage to make it, but a warrior appears behind me, and quickly I turn around before he can start shooting. This has gotten me killed in other tanks, where a warrior suddenly appears behind me and deals a staggering amount of damage in such a short amount of time. But once we have our front facing to him, thanks to the MBT-70's hull traverse, he can't really do anything to us, and he's eliminated after a moment's notice. But more main battle tanks appear to have spawned, and our team is congregating to engage against them. The other MBT-70 is taking some hits, and I'm not in the best shape myself, but I'm still suited for combat. I take a pray to Jesus shot against the back of the Challenger 1, and my round lands home, and I get the kill. The Abrams is trying to attack the expeditionary tank, but having seen my approach, he's turned to look at me. Now he's trying to decide who to engage next. I put a quick heat shell into his back, and the VFM takes him out. The expeditionary tank puts a shot into the ERA panel on the BMP-3's side, but a combination between the M60A3 and the MBT-70's shots do quite a bit of damage to the BMP-3, leaving him to be an easy kill for the VFM. Only about a minute 15 left here in the battle. I head back towards the center. There's a T-72A there. In about 6 seconds, I'll have another missile in the chamber. I pre-aim for the lower plate, fire the missile away, but the gun change that you saw in the first battle in Operation Wild Perseus, that affects my aim, and as a result I hit his oblique plating, and that only damages his tracks. So I reload heat, I put a proper round into his side, and that destroys him.
Identify target. Hostile.
An upgraded Bradley has appeared. I aim for the turret. The mantlet is not protected by ERA plating, so I penetrate through the mantlet. He's trying to attack me, but the MBT-70's frontal armor is giving protection. Some of the other tanks put some shots into the Bradley, but I managed to get a killing shot for a handful of damage. We're now back down to 13 seconds, and it's looking like I'm probably not going to get any more damage for this game.
That was close. All
And
right,
that
well, we're out,
closes up
but we'll keep in
this
touch.
match.
Thank you for your help.
So the MBT-70 is a great all-around tank. Though its gun handling is mediocre and its reload is long enough for a coffee break, it still hits hard with every shell. The MBT-70's real strength lies in its amazing mobility for an MBT, rivaling some light tanks. And at the same time, it comes with good enough protection to deflect most shots, even mini-bosses, in PvE. Definitely recommended by. Like this video if you liked it, dislike it if you didn't, and above all, play hard out there.